this is Tell Us a Story. This podcast is sponsored by the book Social Media for Business by Linda Coles, which is out August 2017. Well, my guest today is Tom O'Neill. Now, Tom O'Neill is a great personal friend of mine, and when I asked him to send across his bio, he sent me 2 pages of all the really good stuff that he's been up to. I didn't know he'd done so much. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the things that he's been up to and then hand over to Tom, and he can tell you a little bit more about what he does day to day. But this guy, Tom O'Neill, he's been featured in The Economist, the Harvard Business Review, TVNZ, the Gulf News, all over New Zealand. He's a regular columnist for the New Zealand Herald. He's a multi-award-winning business and inspirational speaker. He's also the author of the 1% Principle that has been published in USA, UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand. And the other book, You're Hired, The Essential Guide to Personal Branding and Job Hunting. So this guy knows a thing or two about both of those things. He also has a whole arsenal of different keynotes and workshops that he does, including goal setting, the 1% Principle, obviously, personal branding. He's just got all sorts of stuff going on. So without further ado, let's talk to Tom and find out how he is using social media to grow his business. But the first question I want to put to him, well, it's not even a question really, is just say hello, Tom, and tell us about your business. What is it you do day to day? Because you've achieved so much.
Hey, Linda, thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be on your show, and I'm very, very grateful. It is wonderful. As you said, we are very good mates, and it's, as I say, very happy to be live with you now. So I've got a number of businesses. So I own the company CV.co.nz. So we write professional CVs around the world now in more than 50 countries. National Outplacement Services, which does business to business, corporate support of people going through restructures, and TomO'Neill.com. That's my speaking arm, if you will, and my speaking and writing arm. And so, yes, between those three businesses, it's we've got about 5 different business cards which I have to pick out from time to time to make sure I've got the right audience. But it's pretty much my approach. It's always busy, always something to do.
Good. So I'm guessing then when it comes to social media with all those different businesses, there's different aspects or different platforms that you use for different aspects of it. So when did you first start with social media? I mean, and what platform would it have been the main one that you chose? I mean,
yeah, it was interesting. I mean, it was probably would have been 2011, 2012, I think, something like that. Mm. And, because, of course, you always graduate to, start with Facebook and then from there, YouTube. I did some YouTube videos just on career coaching and that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Then merged into LinkedIn and Twitter, and pretty much now use a pretty much cross-platform around those ones.
Okay, because I'm assuming then that mainly your business is business to business rather than business to end consumer, although you could say, well, with cv.co.nz, that's more B2C, I suppose. So I'm guessing then you spend a bit of time, email marketing and maybe LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've also forgot to mention I had a very successful podcast as well, which I'll talk about a bit later, right at the start of podcasting. Primarily LinkedIn is a major focus for me. I'm on LinkedIn on a daily basis, and as you say, it is primarily business to business in terms of National Outplacement Services and my speaking business, TomO'Neill.com. With Facebook, that's particularly good for CV.co.nz because, as you say, that's business to consumer, and that does get some good response. So that's again trying to please a range of different audiences across a different range of platforms.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good stuff. All right. Well, I'm sure then if you've been using LinkedIn, you've probably got a story or two that for spending time on there. You say you spend a little bit of time every day. So, is there something you want to tell us? Have you got a good story that maybe came from
Yeah,
LinkedIn?
yeah. I do. It's interesting because a lot of people I find, especially in the corporate world, working with CB.co.nz, we provide LinkedIn services, help people write their LinkedIn profile, and time and again, you just get people saying, "Oh, LinkedIn's useless, doesn't work for me,"
Mm,
and I always say to them, well, how much effort have you put into it? And
mm,
then, of course, you find they've got a half-baked profile with hardly any data, nothing really there to sell or market them. And it's like having a ship that's leaking and you're sinking and saying, oh, all ships are useless, or, it's just crazy. Just because you haven't put the effort in, is the reason why you're not getting that response. I obviously work very hard on my LinkedIn profile because I need a good one to then be able to tell other people about it.
mm.
And I was just so happened I joined the Harvard Business Review group. And one day I was just sort of going through and having a bit of a read of this and a bit of read of that. And next thing you know, I saw a post from the editor, one of the Harvard Business Review editors, saying, I would like a career expert to just provide some content on a range of things. And of course, you look at it and you think, flipping heck, this is a golden opportunity. And then I started to scroll down and saw that, career experts from all around the world were putting their 2 cents in and, hey, Janelle, what do you think of this? And what are these points? And I thought, flipping heck, okay, what shall I do? So I basically just picked up the phone and dialed Janelle at the Harvard Business Review,
As you do.
which no one else had done. And got hold of her. We had a chat. She went on, had a look at my LinkedIn profile. Was very happy with that. So that gave me that mandate to be able to, talk about LinkedIn and personal branding and getting your message across in different countries ended up being my article. So that then got published in the Harvard Business Review blog. That then got published in one of their books, one of their large format books they did. And then through the strength of that LinkedIn profile, I then thought, oh, I've always wanted to be published in The Economist. So never forget, I Googled telephone, Economist, head office, pressed enter, up came the number, took a couple of deep breaths, phoned up and asked to speak to someone in the careers department, in terms of careers and training and editorial, and got this guy and said, hey, look, I've just been published in the Harvard Business Review and here's my LinkedIn profile, have a look, and I'd love to write an article for you. And blow me down, he goes, yeah, great.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Hey, yeah. So again, LinkedIn can just really provide that instantaneous access to provide some really quality data about you in a way that you don't need to send I'm still a big believer in CVs, but at the same time, if I'm on the phone to you now and say, hey, check out my LinkedIn profile, you can literally go in there, type LinkedIn, Tom O'Neill, boom, up I come, and we can have a dialogue around it.
Oh, that's the simple thing, isn't it? Whenever you are talking to somebody or you meet somebody, one of the first things I do is go back and check out the LinkedIn profile, because if it is half baked, the assumption is this person's not really quite with it digitally, or they don't care that people are looking. But also, when you're communicating through LinkedIn, like you were originally with the group for the Harvard Business Review, it's so easy for that person to just click back on your name and see, who is this guy? Who is Tom O'Neill? And it's your chance to showcase yourself. So, why wouldn't you use it? So, what a cool story.
Well, it's interesting because I look at all this personal branding information as brochures. Every CV or resume for the American audience, every CV, resume, personal profile, LinkedIn profile, they all need to be actively selling you. They all need to be actively marketing who you are and what you can offer. And unfortunately, too many people make it as a big, long list, where something like LinkedIn as a social media tool is awesome because, you can create a document that sells you and really promotes you and what you've got to offer. Then you can join groups like the Human Resources Institute and things like that. And suddenly that's where my audience is, for example, for me. And now I can start to develop a name, a brand, and a case for why you would use Tom O'Neill in the LinkedIn group. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a very cool story, actually. I'm sure there's others that other people have had on LinkedIn. It'd be great to be able to find them and talk to those people, what went on. So do you sort of use any tools in social media? I mean, there's lots out there, Buffer and Hootsuite and a few others, or do you just do it as you can manually, I suppose, would be the
way I write an article every 2 weeks for our national paper, the New Zealand Herald, on careers, employment, and business. And it is interesting because all I do is then effectively go on to when it comes out online. I'll then go manually into Facebook. Put a post there, pop a post into Twitter, pop a post into Google Groups, and then boom, away it goes. I've got also LinkedIn where I put it into LinkedIn, and that manually feeds across as well to some of the other platforms. So I don't have a good. I must admit, I've never really got into it that deep. I've really done it more of a manual basis. But that's I suppose my story there.
Well, a lot of those are linked anyway, so when you post something on LinkedIn, it can automatically go out to Twitter, and the same with your Facebook, it can automatically program to go out to Twitter without needing any further tools.
I do find sometimes that I'll go and post something on Facebook, and then next thing you know, it's automatically popped into other things. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I need to just be conscious of that.
Yeah. So do you sort of have any sort of strategy when you started off, or is it pretty much off the cuff because it depends on what's going on with your, say, your New Zealand Herald column, or whether you've got a speaking gig that's just been filmed, or how does it work for you?
Yeah, it's when I do presentations, I tend to make it a big deal around that. Hey, I'm speaking at blah blah blah, and then here I am speaking at blah blah blah, and here I was speaking at blah blah blah. And that's cool. I mean, it's great because it gets the conference out there and gets them exposed, which is excellent. And then in terms of my regular column, that's something that just sort of falls out, once every 2 weeks. So it's quite good in that context. It's regular. I'm getting out there, putting regular content up, and just really being conscious of making sure that what I post is professional and really sends a message about who I am and what I can bring.
And authentic to you as well. One thing I've sort of seen over the time is you meet somebody and you think, well, you're nothing like the posts that I've been following online. The language you use, or when I see a video of you to when I meet you in person, you're two different people.
I talk. It's funny. I talk about online and offline branding, and so many people, as you say, have a very poor offline brand. Online they're amazing. They've got great videos. They've got this and that. They make real sense. And then you meet them and they're rude, or they're arrogant, or they just can't string a sentence together, or whatever. There's a whole range of things, and you're like, there's this huge disconnect between the online presence and the offline presence, and for me, that's one thing I certainly do try to bring clarity to, that my online and offline presence are hopefully very positive.
Yeah, good advice. Just be yourself. So do you think all businesses should be using social media? Do you think there's a platform for everybody out there?
There's absolutely no reason why a business should not be on social media. Man. It's even just to keep your brand exposed, at the very, very least. It's becoming a norm. It's becoming weird if a business doesn't have social media. Remember years ago, it'd be weird when a company didn't have a website, and websites came out and like, wow, fantastic, and all the big companies had websites and SMEs, small to medium enterprises, didn't. And then they started to have websites and you're like, oh, cool, okay. And then you got to a point where, you'd say, what's your email address? And it'd be, at Yahoo or something like that. And you're like, oh, okay. And then, they didn't have a website. And then now pretty much, anyone can have a website instantly, which is great. But I think in the same way, if an organisation doesn't have any sort of social media structure, you've got to ask yourself why. Is it budgetary? Well, then if it's budgetary, you got to think, is it safe to do business with that business? Are they going to shut the doors tomorrow? And again, it's that whole perception equals reality. If you're perceived to be out there doing cool stuff and you're getting the message out and all these things are happening, well, the reality is to your consumers that, hey, I'm out there doing cool stuff. We're a great business.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there not getting the message out, well, the business is competitive by the nature of it, and you're just going to be losing market share.
And it is part of your marketing strategy. I mean, it's not, yes, it's called social media, but it's a lot more than that, really. It is digitally marketing and having the opportunity to talk to your customers as well as your prospects long before you buy or after they've continued to buy. So it's a relationship building tool. So
absolutely, and certainly. So, if I may, that this is the thing. I mean, I know I write for the Herald, as I say, and there's been a big discussion around a potential merger that has not gone ahead, and they were talking about the death of media and all those sort of things, But they were talking about how organisations, many organisations now, do not do any traditional marketing. It's all social media marketing. And, it's gone from, here's my marketing plan, we'll whack a bit of Facebook on the side, to, well, here's my marketing plan incorporating Facebook. And then now it's pretty much, here's my Facebook plan. We'll hand out some balloons sometime too.
Oh, that's very cool. So have you got any tips then, Tom? I mean, sort of things that you've done. Can you come up with maybe, 3 tips or something that you've done, things that you'd like to explain?
Cool. A very, very good friend of mine gave me some very incredible advice. You may know her, Linda Coles. She said to me, you said to me, but dear friend, do one thing well. And that's what I did really badly at the start. I had a Twitter account, I had a Facebook account, I had LinkedIn, I was podcasting, I had heaps and heaps of different things. And all of them were really poor, shockingly poor, with hardly any information, anything, etc. And so, when you said that to me, I thought, okay. So I focused on LinkedIn because that's where my audience was and really worked hard to engage that audience. Once I did that, focused a bit more on YouTube, and once I did that, then a few other things, and so the first thing I'd say is do one thing well, and then once you've done that, you can point people to that, and people will respond. Then when that's away, great, do other ones, get another one, do now another one well. But whatever you do, just do one well to start. The second thing would be, what suits your audience. Facebook is great for business to consumer. LinkedIn is great for business to business. So you've got to think about, where is my audience? Where are they sitting? My wife is a gardener. She's written books and the Gardena and Yates brand ambassador. And she only discovered recently that Instagram is where a lot of her audience is. The photos of her veggies, the photos of the earth, the photos of the mist in the morning, all that sort of stuff. And she's just generating a really strong response by people resonating with what she does in a visual way. She's a blogger by choice, blogger by what she does. But the Instagram has become another channel for her to get new followers in a really positive and authentic way. And then the third point I'd say is crave engagement, but you just got to be really patient about it. I know when I started podcasting, pretty much when podcasts first came out, and I'll never forget, there was a great photo of, I took a screenshot of me with my face, the Tom O'Neill podcast, and I was there with Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins.
Wow.
And pretty sure Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins at the time were like, wow, Tom O'Neill, awesome. Maybe not. But that grew really well. It was huge. Thousands of people downloading my podcasts. Problem was, I got no engagement, zero engagement. of course that got frustrating doing it, and finally I just thought, stuff this, and gave up. Got into primarily focused on LinkedIn after that. But it was interesting because, you kind of think, well, flip, if I kept going, I'd probably have a couple of 100,000 subscribers, and you sort of think at that level you'd have engagement. But social media in a vacuum is not fun. You're doing a whole lot of stuff, not getting engagement. You're kind of thinking, oh, flipping heck. But at the same time, you've got to be patient. It takes a while to build up your audience. It takes a while to get things going, get things away, and so it's craving that engagement, but that last bit of patience I think is really key.
Well, some sound advice there, Tom, and I particularly like the last one as regards the engagement, because particularly with podcasts, it's like a radio show or a TV show. You're talking to an audience out there that are doing something else at the same time. They may be driving their car or whatever. They're never going to be able to just say, "Hi, Tom," quite so easily. And if you are wanting that engagement, then podcasting's probably not the place for you, or you just need to get your head around it. Whereas when you're having a conversation, say with Twitter, which is more instant and you can crave that feedback and that human contact through your computer, you're not going to get that through podcasting. That said, there'd be a lot of people hanging on your every word, Tom, I'm sure. And if it was 4 or 5 years ago when you did that, you were probably just a way ahead of the curve. And I'd strongly encourage you to pick that back up, because the average person that listens to a podcast now listens to 5 a week. So that's quite a lot of content to consume, and it's not all about business stuff. I mean, if you look at the podcast that hubby and myself listen to, he's really into his cycling, so he'll be subscribed to 4 or 5 cycling ones, as well as work ones. And I'm really into publishing, so as my hobby, so I listen to a lot of publishing ones. But from the person that's creating the podcast, like we're doing here, I just hope that what we send out is what the listener wants and gets something off. So, but it is a little bit one-sided. So I would strongly encourage you to get back on the horse with that one, Tom, because I think you'll probably make a killing now.
Awesome, mate.
Okay, all right. Well, probably the last thing really would be, have you got a piece of advice or somebody giving you a piece of advice that you just want to pass on, whether it's to do with digital marketing, whether it's to do with business, it could be to just do with one of your topics, goal setting, or should I say goals?
Yeah, well,
go, what do you call it? Goal getting, not goal setting.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a poster on the office of a church I went to, and it had this great saying, opportunity, one of those motivational posters, and then had underneath that, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And apparently it's a quote by the great ice hockey player Wayne Gretzky. Yes. But, I've just noticed in my life, when I first started getting the word out and trying things and trying to get book deals and, trying to get in TV and radio and newspapers, etc. Of every 100 shots, I'd get 1. But then when I got that 1, that halved my odds. So it was every 50 shots I got 1. Then, get the next one, great. So now every 25 you get 1. I'm now down to the point where, I've just taken so many shots and missed so many times. But the ones that do go in, the Harvard Business Review, The Economist, my third book, blah, blah, blah. And so now it's about 1 out of 3. So I pitch 3 ideas and pretty much guarantee one of them is going to land, whether it's a book deal, whether it's TV, whether what it is. And another great quote is Woody Allen. He's probably one of my favourite quotes of all time, is 80% of success in life is showing up.
True.
And it's so true with social media. You either show up and have a presence and you're seen and you can be chosen, or you don't. And if you don't show up, you can't be chosen by the fact you're not there. People don't know who you are. They don't know you're available. And I really think for me that's been another key. I haven't been the smartest, the brightest, the fastest, the talentedest. Can't even say the word. But I'm the one on the sideline going, hey, coach, put me in. And the coach looks around. There's no one else there, and he's got no choice. So he puts me in, and I play the game.
Yeah.
And that's I think certainly from my experience. People talk about getting lucky. It's not so much luck; it's just being there, being available, being the dude on the sideline waving your arms. Coach put me in.
Yeah.
You get put in, and people go, "Wow, you were so lucky getting put on that team." Kicking the winning goal, whatever it was. Well, it's only because I'd been standing on the sideline for months after months with no chance of getting in, and then suddenly, everything happens, and there you are.
It's so true, absolutely. And I wrote a book called Start With Hello some years ago. You just reminded me, and it was about putting yourself into positions where other people were talking to the strange person in the lift or on the elevator, because you never know where they may fit into your life. But anyway, we're not here to talk about my book, so okay, right. Well, we're probably about time now. I'm just looking at the clock, and we've sort of got to about 25 minutes, so we should wrap this up. So where can people find out more about Tom O'Neill? Tell us where we can find more, Tom.
Yeah, great. Well, firstly, of course, my speaking platform and authoring platform, tomoneil.com. That's TOMONEIL.com. Also, CV and resume development, CV, Charlie Victor, .co.nz, and also Outplacement, National Outplacement Services, outplacement.co.nz. So, yeah. But, hey, I'd encourage your listeners to flip me an email, even say hi. Certainly love to provide any support I can.
Great. Well, lovely to have you on the show, and thank you for coming and telling us all about how you've used social media and what you've found and your experiences, and sharing some of those stories. So thanks very much, Tom. All the best to you for the future. You've been listening to Tell Us a Story. Why not subscribe or rate us next time you're on iTunes?